Yep, it's another cold night tonight. Going to be down some areas around here into the single digits. Can we resist the devil? Scriptures tells us that if we resist the devil, he will flee from us. That's in James 4:7. Who or what is this devil? Can we identify him? Is he a real corporal enemy? What if on D-Day during World War II, the Allied forces landing on the beachhead of Normandy had found no enemy, met no opposition? That'd be a strange situation, wouldn't it? Or to make the metaphor still more ridiculous, if they knew nothing about the type of the fighting men they were fixing to encounter, nothing of their armament, nothing of their ability to fight, nothing of their maneuverability, or their possible war strategy, what a predicament that would have been. But that's just the position we're in today in our religious life. If we believe in the theory of much of the religious world, we've never been able to become familiar with one feature of the devil. He's sometimes said to be heavily armed, but we've never been shown one piece of armament. He's said to have a personality of his own, but we've never as much seen as one hair on his head. He must have a voice, for he said to go about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But we've never heard as much as a faint whisper. History states that Martin Luther thought he was familiar with the devil, and that he lived in constant consciousness of contact with opposition with the evil one. He saw him he was in contact with him at his study, bed, or even in his cell. He thought that the devil was always interfering with his work. Thought he was always interfering with his rest. When he would go to do his studies, he would hear a noise and thought it was the enemy. He said, I found he was walking about. I gathered together my books and went back to bed. Another time in the night, he heard him above his cell, walking in the cloister. But he said he knew it was the devil. He paid no attention to him and went back to sleep. He talks about how early in the morning, when he woke up, a fiend came and began disputing with him, telling him he was a great sinner. He said, back to Satan, tell me something I don't know. I remember once listening to Jesse Duplantis. He had visited a town. He was staying with a friend from church there. He said all night long the devil was in his room, right over in the corner. Just a dark figure staring at him. Jesse said he couldn't sleep all night. He prayed and prayed and asked God to do away with this devil. But the devil stayed there all night. As the sun came up the next morning, he realized it was nothing more than a coat rack with a hat on it. All who would lay the blame of evil and sin on their imaginary devil have tried in vain. For in so doing, they are fighting that which does not exist and neglecting the real devils, the evils within their own human hearts. Jesus said, "These are those which come from within the human mind. These defile the man." The pagan world of Paul's time believed in demons and spirits. Some groups thought of the heavenly bodies as the abodes of spirit which hold human life in thrall. Paul himself exposed these. He had no such beliefs. But he did borrow from the language of the contemporary astrology that described the conflict between good and evil. In his own way, he was expressing to the Gentiles in language that they could understand the very real, earnest Christian conflict that was going on at that time. And he also tells us that it goes on with all powers of sin and evil, which every Christian must experience. And God's not left us defenseless against the devil, which is all sin and evil, but He's provided us with strong, tested spiritual armor. He says, "Put on the whole armor of God." Paul tells us. Then he names each essential piece of God-given armor. "Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with the truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye all shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God." And these are not weapons which we can fight a corporal devil.